Back to the show. Glad to have you with us as we look ahead towards the Chelsea game. After some agonizing time off, the football calendar resumes, joined by the majestic voices of Ritabile and Shoni. They're here to help me break down what we have to look ahead in this Chelsea game. And boy, oh boy, am I excited. So if you're as pumped as I am, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. And without any further ado, let's get into it. The Chelsea show. Something Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in the press conference before we start, actually. He spoke with a bit of conviction for once, and he was a bit bold. And for the first time, he actually sounded like the manager of one of the biggest football clubs in the world. He was asked about how big of an impact the winter break will have going forward, and he said we can expect big things. And I know that I don't fully trust that statement, but I'm proud of it because that's the sort of thing the manager of Manchester United should be saying. Regardless of what's happening behind closed doors, you should come out and give statements like that. So what do you guys think of that? Is there any substance to it, or is it just talk?
Well, I think that this winter break, even though I missed United and I'm glad to be back, I think it was good for the lads, and I think it was good for Oli, and I think it was, as fans, it was probably good for us as well. In terms of Oli's comments, yeah, I liked what he said. I really did like what he said. You know, like you said, for once it seemed like he was a manager for one of the biggest clubs in the world. I agree with that, and yeah, I think this break has just lightened up the mood. You know, I think it was a bit of a rest and a reset button as well.
Definitely.
Look, I don't trust the statement because I don't trust Ole, and I don't think he's good enough. But yeah, there could be positive from the winter break. I mean, it gave us a chance probably to work on creative play and Bruno Fernandes to get used to the team, and yeah, for us just to be more creative. Like, I hope we can finally play 1-2s and break down teams, or not can do it, but at least slightly better at it. And then if he's referring to that, yeah, I really love to see that.
Well, it certainly is an interesting comment, but as I said, I don't trust it. I think you'd be naive to trust it because we've seen these players let down our trust time and time again. We know these lads can't stick together. And actually, he was also asked about the Fred comments, funny enough, what Fred said. And he basically completely denied it without really denying it. He dodged the question. He said that, you know, I don't know what that's supposed to mean or something along those lines. And then he also went on to say that the lads are great, obviously. That's basically the gist of his response, was that the lads are great. This team does stick together. And he's just backing his players. And I don't really have a problem with that. I think managers should back their players. I don't think managers should be coming out in the press and criticizing players unless they're talking about the club as a whole. And they shouldn't single out specific players because I think that's wrong. I think that's something Mourinho has done, and that's led to Mourinho's downfall at many clubs. Because, I mean, every third season or every second season that Mourinho's at a club, he gets sacked because of that. He loses the dressing room and he's toxic towards his players out in the public. You don't need to do that. So, very positive press conference from Oli, in my opinion. And I don't know. What did you guys make of the Fred situation, by the way?
I mean, we call this guy Pastor Fred for a reason, guys. You know, he's preaching everything that us fans think about. You know, we see that there's vanity. We can see that there's some sort of dressing room unrest. They don't stick together really that well.
Yeah.
So I thought whatever all the comments that Fred said about the team and what he said during the winter break, I think was spot on, 100%. And when Oli was asked about it in the press conference, I think what Oli said also again, I don't have any problems with it. I think as a manager of United, you're going to say those things anyways. You know, he did say he doesn't have any problems with Fred as well. So, you know, as a manager, I don't blame him for saying that. I think the fans know, and at least now a player has come out and said the things that we want to hear and the things we think we know as fans and we can see on the field.
Yeah,
there's a way to play devil's advocate in this, but yeah, Loretta, I'll let you go first.
I appreciate the honesty, because there's no honesty at Manchester United from the manager. Yes, in that instant with Fred, he had to do that because he couldn't have a go at his player. But there's no honesty. Yeah. It's all secretive, and they don't communicate with the fans enough, which really doesn't help them. So I appreciate when players come out like this, and it also shows passion that he actually wants to see a change happen at Manchester United.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering if Fred's position in the team is under threat, it's not under threat, and not just because of how crucial he's been in Manchester United's team, But also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did go on to say that he's got no problems with Fred and what Fred said. So there you go. Make of that what you want. But I can play the devil's advocate here and put a spin on this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't have to attack his players outright. He doesn't have to do what Mourinho does, obviously. And we know who Mourinho is talking about 1,000,000% of the time. He could have done exactly what Fred did. Fred didn't mention any names. Fred didn't take shots at anybody. Fred could have been talking about anybody in that dressing room. And if you think that you know who he was talking about, you're just speculating. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have come on and said, Fred is right. There are a lot of problems at this club, but I'm going to stand by my players because I believe that we can fix these issues. I think that would have been an appropriate response. No backlash whatsoever. You're just confirming what everybody knows to be true anyways. Yeah. And you don't have to attack anyone in particular. Like, there is ways to respond to things. And I feel like with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, again, as we said in the past, just a lack of press training. And I mean, he's a positive guy. He's not the type of guy to go on in his players anyways. So I know someone like Fergie would have probably been more honest.
Yeah, because like, imagine if he came out and he said, like, you know what, everything Fred said, yeah, it is right. You know, I am the manager, so it is my job to fix everything. Yeah, and imagine he's like, I am the manager, I'm going to fix it or whatever, you know, I will bring this team together. I will instill new ideas and show this team that I have a vision. And, you know. Yeah,
that would have been appropriate. That would have been an appropriate response. That actually would have created buzz.
Yeah, but I think, like we all know, Ole is, you know, he's not really the best when it comes into the press conferences.
And he's Mr. Positive. You wouldn't want to admit it anyways.
Yeah. Look, I just hope Fred doesn't get attacked in the background, because as much as Ole can say he doesn't have a problem with him, that hierarchy might appreciate what Fred said, as we saw with De Gea when they took the captaincy from him. So I just hope that there's no backlash for Fred.
Yeah, of course. I think for Fred, he can't really control that though. Like, sure, he could have just kept quiet, but it's out there now, and I think Fred will gain a lot of respect because at least he didn't attack anyone specific. And Fred was complaining about the dressing room problems anyways. He wasn't complaining about anything higher up. So, look, basically what I'm saying is if Ed Woodward and the Glazers get upset with what Fred said, then they've got some serious ego problems because Fred wasn't even attacking them. He was talking about the dressing room. You know, so they've got some serious ego issues and some serious insecurities. Plus, they probably do anyways, but, you know.
Yeah. Plus, I'd be surprised if they heard about it and, you know, react about it.
That's true. That is true. But anyways, let's get to the football. Chelsea, how big are they in terms of being favourites in this game? Or do you think the winter break and the positivity around the winter break and also the fact that Manchester United have had time to just, you know, recuperate, regroup, get a break from all the games, do you think this is a chance for Manchester United to actually get a positive result, or do you think Chelsea are still miles ahead of us and they could win?
You know, the way I see it when I look at Chelsea versus United, I look at Chelsea, I see Lampard and his team having a vision, a system, very inconsistent this season. Obviously, they couldn't spend in the last window and replace Eden Hazard and the likes of such. But Lampard has a vision, he has a style of football, he's got a good system. And then when you look at all his team, he's got better players than Chelsea, I think, overall. But there's no system. You know, there's lots of confusion. We aren't in the best of form. We're also very inconsistent. Yeah. So it's very tough. I think it's going to be a very level game. And I think it's just, for me, I think this game could go either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're favourites. I think that Chelsea, much like us, have their problems. I think we have better players. Maybe that's why we're kind of keeping up. But I do think that they have a lot of issues. Defensively, they're not very strong. They leak goals insanely. And I think in attack, they don't really take their chances that much. So I do think we have a good chance of winning this game.
And I don't know if you heard, but we appointed a new assistant coach. His name is Bruno Fernandes, and he's telling Dan James where to run. So hopefully that will make a difference. We up here doing the podcast can talk about what we think because we're fans. We can say we're not going to make top four, and then 3 weeks later we're 3 points away from top four. Then we can talk about potentially making top four, and we can go on, and we can go back and forth. We have that privilege as fans. For Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he doesn't have that privilege. He's the manager of a football club, and he's got to try get the best out of his players. And where I'm going with this is, it's the obvious question surrounding this game. Is this the final chance that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has at top 4? Because if he doesn't slow down Chelsea and catch up to them in the process by getting a result next week Monday, you have to wonder where the season is going in terms of top 4 for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So do you guys think that this is his last chance? I know you guys don't think we'll make top 4 anyways, but like, put yourself in his shoes. Do you think this is the last chance he has to make top 4?
Possibly think so. I think we're 6 points behind Chelsea now as we speak. We're 8th and they're 4th. So 6 points. If we don't get a result against Chelsea, I think it's pretty much is done for Ole, because I don't see Ole getting a run Chelsea going on a horrible run to get us top 4.
Yeah. Plus there's still Spurs.
Exactly. Yeah. And the teams around that top 4 area, they're all in a position to go and get now that next position.
Yeah, true. We can't ignore Wolves. They're a very good team. Sheffield have shown that they can stand against these big teams, or supposedly big teams. Looking at Chelsea's form, they're very inconsistent. So I think with the inconsistency, even if we lost, if we could go on a decent run, we could still make up the points. But I don't think we can put a run together, especially if we lose to Chelsea on Monday, because that's really going to affect the morale. So I think this is the last chance.
Yeah, my worry with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, regardless of the results, he's still going to put out strong teams in both the league, the FA Cup, and the Europa League. That's my worry. Okay, maybe not so much the FA Cup, actually, since he experimented against Tranmere, but I say that's my worry because we know we're struggling with squad depth at the moment, and it ain't long before Manchester United have another injury crisis. We're going to be playing Thursday and Sunday pretty much every week, so we're going to have a game every 3 days, including Mondays. We're back in it, and that's assuming we actually beat Club Brugge, by the way. I'm not counting them out. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got, I said this in the last podcast we did, I think he's got to make a choice now. I think he's got to pick, and I think the result against Chelsea is going to give him, it's going to give him a sort of a curtain raiser, closure, a way of it will give him the evidence he needs to make this decision. And what do you guys prefer? What would you prefer he goes for? Top 4 or the Europa League?
I prefer he goes for Europa League. I want my team to win a trophy, and I think if you win Europa League and get Champions League like that, you deserve it. If you don't get top 4, I feel like already top 4 is gone. So I would prefer he goes for Europa League, and yeah. And plus, even though we had this 2-week break and now everything's like reset and people are re-energized and now players are starting to come back, I don't think things will just drastically change in those 2 weeks that we had off.
Yeah.
Look, for me to say he must go for the Europa League, I think top 4 must be completely out of the question, which is then tough as well, because then if it's completely out of the question, what position are we in the Europa League then? So, because I feel like with Mourinho, when he did that, I trusted him. I knew he's probably going to win this competition. With Ole, I just don't have that trust. So it's very difficult for me to answer this question.
I don't think it's that complex, Obviously, I respect your opinion, and I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying I don't think it's that complicated, because you look at the teams that play in the Europa League, and Manchester United, even in the position that they are now, should be beating most of those teams. Bar Inter Milan, bar Ajax, who've dropped down, and those sort of teams, we should be beating everyone in the Europa League. Like teams like Arsenal make the Europa League final when they're in there. I mean, they made the last Europa League final anyways, and then got beat 3-0 by Chelsea. I think the Europa League, it's not easy, but it's not as difficult as getting top 4, in my opinion, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it is a trophy. Yeah, definitely. The level of competition in the Premier League compared to the Europa League is not even close. It's not even close. In
comparison, yes, I can agree.
It's not even close.
I do think Inter Milan can be a serious threat this season, because they are, I think, currently top of Serie A.
Obviously. So, but besides Inter Milan and Ajax, there's no one else in the Europa League that can cause serious problems, and maybe Arsenal. Who else? Wolves. So unless we run into an Inter Milan, unless we run into an Ajax, unless we run into an Arsenal, and unless we drop off and give Club Brugge the game, I don't think that getting knocked out of the Europa League early is forgivable because it's a competition that we should be winning, even with the players and the position we're in. I genuinely believe that. With regards to top four, I think top four is out of the question as it is right now because this team has not proven in the last 8 months that they're able to win a run of games consistently, let alone 2 games back to back. The last time we did that was the Spurs and City result, and that was just a fluke. It was just sit back and hit teams on the break. Everyone in the Premier League knows how Manchester United plays and knows what they need to do to get through Manchester United now. So unless we go on a miracle run, we're not winning the top. We're not winning the top 4 race. However, in the Europa League, with teams like Astana and AZ Alkmaar and all these no-name teams, I think we can beat them. I really do, especially with Bruno Fernandes and Martial and Igalo and Lindelof and Maguire, if they just step up to the plate and if Romero plays well, etc. Really, I really do.
I don't think so.
I don't mean to be disrespectful towards teams like Club Brugge, but those are teams Manchester United should be beating, even in bad form. Genuinely.
Yeah, I also think so. And I think when we have our players back, like McTominay comes back, Swansea comes back, Pogba comes back, I think it should be good.
Should be. Should if you would. With this
I agree with you. But knowing Ole, he won't do it. I just don't think he has the confidence to do it.
Hey, and you're completely justified in that opinion. You're completely justified. Like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't even know if the word possibly is accurate. I think probably won't win the Europa League. But
that's the thing. Like,
if
I think
there's a competition this guy can lift, I think I back him in the Europa League. I don't think he'll make top 4 or win the FA Cup if he runs into a City.
Yeah, because for me, realistically, and I don't want to be too negative, I don't see us getting top 4, and I don't see us winning any trophy. I feel like we could get knocked out in Europa and the Cup.
But I agree with that, but I'm a bit optimistic. Like, I'm going to be optimistic and hope that this winter break paid off and hope Igalo can hit a form straight away. Hope Martial can be productive, close to being as productive as Rashford was on the wing. And then Pogba, Fernandes, McTominay, with that team playing at as good as at the best it can, I think we could put in a run in the league. But that is all what ifs and maybes.
Yeah, without spending too much time on this, you see, that's my problem right there. To make top 4, we have to go on a run. We don't have to do that to win the Europa League. We just need to show up on Thursday night for 90 minutes. We just need to show up on Thursday night for 90 minutes. Yeah,
show up on Thursday. Dude.
Exactly. No, but like for real. And also with regards to Inter Milan, like look, Serie A is a competitive league, and whatever you think of the Serie A, there's one thing you can't deny. It doesn't have the physicality and the pace that the Premier League has. So already English teams have an advantage against Italian teams. And Inter Milan don't have a Ronaldo. They don't have anyone who can win a game by themselves. They are a good team this season because they have a good system and a good manager, which is a threat to Manchester United. But you look at that Inter Milan starting 11, and it's not that miles ahead of Manchester United starting 11. I don't think so.
No. Half of them
so,
are United.
like, yeah, and like, Ashley Young, Lukaku, Eriksen, those are all good additions to their team. And I know there are other players in Inter Milan, and I obviously don't watch them enough to name their full starting 11. But I can guarantee you that in a combined 11, there are a decent amount of United players that make it in with those Inter Milan players. So it's so easy to get wrapped up in the poor form that we're in the league and just and to be negative. But I don't rate the teams in the Europa League. There's a reason why nobody respects the Europa League as much as the Champions League. There's a reason why, It's the second tier of continental football. And a team that's battling for top 4 should be able to make a run in the Europa League. But, again, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so you never know.
Yeah, I agree. I do think we do have a team that's good enough to probably should get to the final. But if I'm being completely honest, I do think Inter Milan will win it because I do think their team is better. Maybe not much better. It is better. And any team that can battle so much with Juventus for the title, I think it deserves to be reckoned with.
Yeah, system-wise and coach-wise, yeah, they're miles ahead of us. I was just comparing player by player, you know. But yeah, look. Hopefully, we don't run into Inter Milan. Okay, that's the moral of this conversation. Let's not run into Inter Milan before the final. The predicted XI. I see you've gone with Odion Ighalo in the number 9 position. How big is he in Manchester United's next few games, and in particular against Chelsea?
Oh yeah, I think he will go straight into the team because I just think we don't have enough squad depth to put anyone else there. And when Oli was asked, so you said you're gonna start Ighalo. He said no, I didn't say that. I just said he'd be involved. But I think he was just doing it because it's what he wants. He wants to play some mind games. I think Ighalo definitely is gonna start because
he did a similar thing with Fernandes.
Yeah, I feel like why wouldn't you really start him? I can't really think of a reason unless you really want to play Greenwood and James or Greenwood and Lingard or whoever and leave Ighalo out. But I think we need a striker and I think we need goals. We've been suffering. I think it's 4 games or 5 games we haven't scored in the Premier League now, back to back. So that I think Ighalo is going to walk straight in. And I agree that, as a striker, you don't really have to practice with the team so much, because all you want to do is get a goal, and like what system, Ighalo look at Oli's system and be like, there's nothing even here for a striker. It doesn't look like you guys even have a striker when you play. So I think Ighalo will do his thing and hopefully he gets something.
Well, I was actually giggling deep down inside while you were saying that because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm not sure if he was asked, but it's been floating around Instagram and Twitter, people going, why hasn't Odion Ighalo trained with the team? Guys, what core fundamentals of Manchester United's system does Odion Ighalo have to travel to warm training in Spain to learn? There's nothing. There's no triangles. There's no tiki-taka. It's just sit, wait for the counter-attack, get in the box, and get in the end of the shot. Or potentially hold up, because, who knows? You might have a Lingard who's struggling to get the ball up front. It's a funny thing with Ighalo. Barreto, what are your thoughts on him?
I think in a perfect world, one might say maybe Ighalo is not best for a counter-attacking system. He's quick. He's not a slouch. He's not extremely slow, but maybe you could say he's not the quickest. So in a perfect world, you can say maybe he's not the best fit because we're definitely going to play a counter-attacking game against Chelsea. It's worked twice, and Chelsea just open up at the back. It's all about attack for them. So we have to play like that. But the thing is, we just don't have enough depth up front. So I think he definitely has to start Ighalo because we need goals.
Oh, he might start Greenwood and Martial and bring Ighalo off the bench, I can see Oli doing that. So I can easily see him doing that. I don't think he will, but I wouldn't be shocked because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't shock me anymore. I wouldn't be shocked if he played a back 6 with Williams and Shaw as left-sided centre backs and then like Maguire on the left in the left back row.
I think by now he recognized that Greenwood struggles in the big games. So I think that's going to force his hand a bit more.
Possibly. You never know. Scott McTominay, any news on whether or not he'll be fit for this game?
He's training. He just started training, and I think Oli said that he's not fit enough yet to play in a game, the Chelsea game, maybe the next game or the game after. But he's starting to train, him and Axel, but they both won't be fit enough for this game.
Saw them training separately actually from the team.
Yeah, so they started. They're basically almost back, but not yet.
Yeah,
it's too soon.
Makes sense.
But Matic will be back. Matic will be back from his suspension.
Yeah, I think Matic would be a big plus because we don't want Bruno playing in the 6 again, and I think he has been quite well. I'll be interested to see how Dan James plays because I do think having a target man like Ighalo might help him because sometimes it seems like he doesn't know what to do. So with this one, it's quite simple. He already stays out on the wing, wait for the ball, run, cross. Ighalo's there to hit the ball. So I do think it will improve James's form.
And I think this break, now that you mentioned, I was even thinking after this break, will we get the beginning of James's United career back now? Because he's had a rest. I was wondering the same thing.
I don't know. I think I'm going to be a bit cynical, so brace yourselves. I think people talk about this break like Manchester United took a bunch of magic pulls and they're going to be a different team when they come back. And the reality is the reason why Dan James has dropped in form it's not because fatigue and his head dropping. His head has dropped. He has suffered from fatigue. But he dropped off months before we started noticing the tiredness. Way before that. And I think if Dan James' career is going to blossom at Manchester United, he needs to add more dynamics to his game. Plain and simple. Because we ain't going to buy any like midfielders or anyone who can come and help him in anytime soon. So, in the summer, maybe when we spend some money, if we do, I think we'll see a different side to Dan James. And if we get a different coach and we get an actual system where Dan James has a specific role and all he has to do is stick to that role, and then perhaps we can get the best out of him. But at the moment, in this freestyle football team, I think he's just a one-trick pony, and I think he needs to develop his game. I don't think Dan James is playing badly purely because of tiredness, So, but hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he goes on.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, to be honest, because I don't mean to be harsh, but I don't think Dan James is good enough yet. I think he should have been a bench player, and he's not good enough to be starting in Manchester United. I do think this break might improve our play a little bit, because Ole has said that during the season you didn't have time to work on combination play and how you got from the back, because he's an old school manager. When a game comes, it's about how do we stop Wolves, not about how do we improve play, like a Pep or a Klopp would. So he said that time and time again that there's just no time. So I do think during this break they probably worked on that, so we might see an improvement.
And also, there's barely any time for training anyway. So I think that's a valid argument. It's not an excuse because you have been here since last summer, but it's a valid reason because you spend most of your time in recovery in between games around this time of the year. So the team doesn't actually really train that much in between games. They're kind of just going with the flow and what they learned in the preseason. So it is difficult, and on top of that, he's inexperienced. So I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with, however, is looking forward to the conversation about Dan James just reminded me. Looking forward to someone like Pereira and Lingard potentially playing in this Chelsea game. Whether they come off the bench or they start, I think those players have been exposed for what they truly are. And I know that's a bit harsh on Lingard, but he's been this bad for longer than I can count, and you just have to wonder if this guy actually has a future in this team. I don't think he does, and I don't want to see him come on when we're like 1-0 down against Chelsea, if it does come to that.
Yeah. Same, I tried not thinking about it too much when you're on break, because like I said, the break, I wanted to take a break as well as a fan. But now, when things start starting again, and now you see Lingard and you see Pereira, they didn't go anywhere during the break. They're going to be there. They're probably going to play again, and we'll probably get the same results. So yeah, reality, I'm sure will probably hit against very soon. Hopefully not too soon, but soon enough, it will hit, I think. But yeah, I just want to, I want to be positive after the break. As a United fan, all I want as a United fan is for my team to win.
Look, I am positive, but you got to look at things pragmatically sometimes. I think we will win the Europa League because I've said that we should beat those teams. But I just and I want Manchester United to beat Chelsea, but I can't pretend like I don't think Chelsea could nick a result because they're in fourth place and we're not. We're in eighth.
Lampard has a system, we don't.
Look.
Yeah, and I'm not even being negative. Like that's just the reality of where we are. It's hard to be positive with Manchester United at the moment.
When you mentioned Pereira, I took a deep breath. I think our United fans' worst nightmares is what's his name again? Bruno Fernandes getting injured against Chelsea. I think that is the worst nightmare. And then we're having to see Pereira or Lingard come on. So, yeah, it sucks because ultimately these guys are still going to have to play because we don't have depth, and we're still going to struggle because we don't have creativity. The bench does play a very big part in the team's success.
It's funny you bring that up because Bruno Fernandes is going to play every game. That's the reality. He's going to play every game. Like Harry Maguire played every game. Like Rashford played every game until he was injured. like Martial's been playing every game until he eventually gets injured again, because it's going to happen. I think with Bruno Fernandes, we can be a little bit more positive with him because he just joined the club. So, like I said, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer manages to run this guy's career into the ground in 6 months, I have to take my hat off to him. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. You have to be beating this guy with the hammer before every game to run him down in 6 months. With the other players,
Bruno,
he's been
Bruno,
doing it for the whole season.
Yeah, especially
he's a fit
Bruno
guy.
doesn't, and you can see what Bruno's about. He's like, no, I'm not having it. Like he shows like, guys, I know what I'm doing here.
Like Bruno, he's that sort of player. He's the kind of player. Obviously, he's human, and he does get injured, but he's the kind of player, sort of like a Ronaldo mold. And I don't mean to compare him to Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of skill. I'm just talking about in terms of fitness. He's a very fit lad. Like, he can run up and down for a full 90 minutes and then some, and still be ready for next week. And I think he can be very physical. But we'll just have to wait and see, because this is his first season in the Premier League. Whereas someone like Martial, he's not really the most physical guy, is he? And he does have injury problems. And a lot of players in this team have injury problems. So, I don't know. It's tough. But the only concern I have with Bruno Fernandes is he's not just doing his own job. He's doing his job and the people around him at times. And that might put a bit of strain on him.
Yeah.
You can only do so much carrying. But again, if you run him into the ground in 6 months, we have to give him a trophy or something.
I'm clapping.
It's like a ceremony.
I clap.
That's unbelievable. Well, the only other person in this team that we haven't mentioned coming back is Marcus Rashford. I know it's going to be a long time from now, but if we're still in the Europa League, right, like say a month from now, and McTominay's back, Rashford is somewhat back, kind of in training, doing his fitness things, Bruno Fernandes is still fit, Fred is still fit, and hopefully Matic is still fit, and Martial is still in the thick of things, and then you've got Ighalo. I really think there's a chance for Manchester United to save this joke of a season. But
yeah,
you were gonna say?
No, I was saying now we need to build. Now we need some momentum. We need to build. We need to don't have any problems. Try not get injuries. Out of the blue and stuff like that. Just build up on it. Wait for your players to come back. Hopefully turn the corner, get some momentum.
Yeah, I really think the Europa League is the way to do it, man. I don't want to hash this argument up again, but I really think just focusing on the Thursday nights is the way to go. Because if you're going to try to do this Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and not get any injuries, you're fooling yourself from this team.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's probably going to blow up in our face if we do that, but do you think that's what Ole is going to do? Look, I do think with all those players fit, as much as I don't think we will win the Europa League, with all those players fit, we have a really good team.
Yeah.
We have a team that's very capable to compete in the Europa League.
Exactly. I think so as well.
For the first time in a long time, I can understand why Ole does what he does, though, to be fair. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I understand. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in a difficult position. And to a certain degree, he's put himself in that position where he is trying to rescue a horrendous start and a horrendous season by making sure that he keeps all his options and his avenues open. If he goes all in on the Europa League and he gets knocked out in the round of 16, but then he's also 9th in the Premier League, that's not good, But if he's still somehow in the Europa League, round of 16-ish, and I don't know, 1-0 down away from home against an AZ Alkmaar for argument's sake, and he still has a home game to recover that, and in the league he's still 6th/7th, there's still something to work with there. And I can understand why he's playing strong teams in both competitions. And I can understand why he's trying to do it, but fortune favors the brave, and I think he's just got to pick one. He's just got to pick one. He won't. Well, we think he won't based on what he's done, but he's just got to pick one. And then another thing is the FA Cup as well. Like, I don't know where you guys are on the FA Cup, but I really think I would rather have the Europa League, get far in the Europa League at least, and still win an FA Cup. And I know the FA Cup doesn't really mean much, but I think it would do a lot more good for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer than finishing 6th or 7th. I really do.
Well,
Because-
it's like, it's another trophy, and if he could win
Yeah.
Europa and the FA Cup, that's 2 trophies in one season for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, I know. It depends what approach he takes. If he takes the approach, I'm going to play strong team in every game, I'd rather sacrifice the FA Cup, to be honest, because then we're going to have serious injury problems. But I wanted to ask, would you guys accept him picking the league? Would you accept him saying, I'm going to play my strongest team in the league, and then I'm going to play a second team in the Europa League?
Depends on the result. If this guy picks the league and then he still finishes 7th, no. That's bullshit. But
I mean,
if he...
at the moment, with how things are looking, would you accept him starting to do that? When you play
I can't really answer that because I have to wait for the result. Obviously, right now I don't agree with it, but I have to wait for the result. Like, if he picks the league, right, I can say I don't agree with it, but then if he makes top 4 at the end of the season, I look like an idiot. And I'm like, oh, well. But if he picks the league and he doesn't make top 4, then at the end of the season I can say he was wrong and that was a mistake, and rightfully so because the evidence is there. Right now, I can't argue it because it's such a difficult situation.
Right
personally,
now, I would disagree.
Personally, I really think the Europa League it means a little bit more than top 4. I genuinely do. Or 5th with the Man City ban, I guess, because it's firstly you do get the Champions League football either way, but the trophy, that's what I'm more concerned about. The trophy, like this club, I really just want to, and this might be selfish and immature and a bit romantic and a bit like it makes me sound like a passion merchant, which I am anyways. But I really just want to see the team lift the trophy. I really do. I don't want to see the team hugging each other because they came 4th in a shit league this season.
Top 4 is not a trophy.
It's not a trophy. It's not a trophy. And I know you Premier League merchants love your top 4 races and that stuff, and I get it and I respect it, but I'd rather win a continental trophy, even if it's not the Champions League. At least it's a trophy that most teams don't win.
Definitely, I agree that the Europa League is the way to go, but I think it's the risk factor behind it. Or for Ole, he might think that it's too risky.
Yeah. But to answer your question, if Ole had to decide on the league now, that wouldn't be worth it. Like now, currently, if you have to ask me.
Look, I'd be optimistic and I'd support him, and I wouldn't hate him for it because I think that's just going overboard. Like at the end of the day, he's the manager and he's going to do what he thinks is best. And look, I would rather he pick the league than try to play strong teams and everything. So hopefully that clears up my answer. Like I would rather he picked one, even if it's not the one I like.
Same here.
Yeah.
I would much rather he picked one. But I don't know how I'd feel if United somehow made top 5 or top 4.
Yeah.
Assuming the City ban stuck. I don't know how I'd feel about it.
Yeah. Look, I agree that you should pick the Europa League, but knockout football's a bitch. That's all I'll say.
I think, you see, the thing about knockout football, though, is I really do think it favors the teams that just go all in on it. And I don't mean all in terms of squad selection or anything like that. Just play football and try win and just show up on the day. That's the nice thing about knockout football. It's not 38 games across an entire year. It's 2 games every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or whatever the case may be, depending on which knockout tournament we're talking about. 2 legs. You get a home game, don't lose. You get an away game, don't lose by too much and try to get an away goal. It's very simple. Yes, the margin for error is lower than that of a league, but you're facing teams that are not really that knowledgeable against you. And like I said earlier in the podcast, everybody knows how Manchester United plays in the Premier League at the moment. So I think our odds are much higher against a Club Brugge or a team from the Netherlands that perhaps doesn't quite have the same level of tactical prowess as a Man City or Sheffield United or a Wolves. I think our odds are much higher against those teams because Fergie, I don't know, I think I need to jog people's memory, but Fergie used to play counter-attacking football away from home in the Champions League all those years. He didn't play the United way every single game. There were times in knockout football where he decided, you know what, we're in Europe, we're away from home, we're just going to sit back and try and nick a result. And that's the thing about knockout football is you don't need to play well for the entirety of it. You just need that one moment, get ahead, close it out, win at home, you're into the next round. Now with the league, you have to play you just have to be so consistent with where Manchester United is right now. And it's just, it's hard to see. It's so hard to see them doing that,
Yeah.
It really is.
Like even if you look at like a Real Madrid, in the league how they play, and then but come Champions League night, they're there.
Yeah, it's the thing is, let's put it this way, right? Look at Manchester United's record against the top 6 last season versus the rest of the league, right? We always complained and said this team, it's so easy to show up for Man City. It's so easy to show up for Tottenham. It's so easy to get up for a Liverpool game. Why can't they get up for the smaller games? I think a part of that is just a general lack of consistency and inability to transfer the momentum or get momentum going, rather. We don't need that on Thursday nights. We're not playing every Thursday in the Europa League. It's a Thursday, a break, then another Thursday. So we have time in between games to establish our rhythm again. It's just about whether or not this team cannot bottle it in the 90 minutes on the Thursday evening. That's what it's about.
You see it in the Liga as well. You see Barcelona go and beat a Juventus in the Champions League. Then come weekend they lose to Levante. Like, ow. And
yeah, because you
a lot of that mentality and momentum.
Yeah, like that's knockout football. It's such a strange thing. It's such a strange thing. But fortune does favor the brave. So if you're prepared and if you put yourself in the right mental space, and obviously you need to have the tactics, you can be very successful in knockout football. It's just about taking your moments. And as much as we like to criticize this Manchester United team, if you're asking me where counter-attacking football is more suitable, probably in knockout football.
Yeah.
Because there's no draws in knockout football. Look at how many draws United have this season. Imagine if all those games went to penalties.
Yeah.
For argument's sake, and we got 3 points. So, counter-attacking football can work in knockout. It's just, can this team take their chances? I don't know. We'll see. Can Dan James hit the tap-in the 90th minute against an Inter Milan or an Ajax to send us through to extra time? I don't know. I don't know.
How ridiculous would it be if every league game went to penalties?
That was a draw. Imagine. But that would ruin the essence of league football. Like, that would make no sense. It would be like, okay, let's just turn this into a knockout format and save time. Imagine extra time in the derby. Yeah. That would be crazy. But anyways, I think that about wraps it up, guys. Let us know in the comments. Oh, yeah, predictions, actually. What are your guys' predictions before I wrap it up?
Well, I'll let you go first in this one, boy.
I was about to say that to you.
Fine, I'll go first. 2-1 United.
Yeah,
there, I said it. There, I said it. Don't at me.
It's a hard one. This game is a draw all over it, eh? But I'm not going to go with the draw.
Draw is such a nothing result.
There's a lot of optimism. I do think Bruno Fernandes will improve us. And Chelsea are very weak at home. They are. And one can say, it depends on how, what's his name again, Lampard plays. Because he's played us twice. He has to learn. He has to learn. If he's not as open and he's a little bit pragmatic, I do think Chelsea will beat us. But I'm going to say he won't do that. And I'm going to go with a 2-0 United win.
Before Sonny goes,
yeah.
Before you go, I would like to add that, people often talk about managers learning their lessons, playing a certain way against a certain team. I think also we have to take into consideration that, let's say Lampard does try to play pragmatically. Chelsea aren't really a pragmatic team. So I think even if they do try, they might still fail because of how inexperienced they are. Like, people forget that this isn't FIFA. Like, you don't just press the left arrow and then switch to defensive or counter-attacking football. Like, you actually have to drill it into your team and get them to play a certain playing style. So I think, and I'm not saying Chelsea are incapable of playing more pragmatic. They are. I'm just saying they might not make, the players themselves might not know how to do it effectively against United, which is a positive because they haven't done it all season, And Lampard is inexperienced. But yeah, anyway, Shawnee, you can go.
Because, okay, can I say something?
Yeah.
Because they haven't done it, I agree with you, and I don't think they will. but I do think you can maybe not be too pragmatic. Maybe don't be an Ole and counter, like sit back and counter, and you've been playing expansive football throughout the whole season. I think you can tone it down a little bit. I mean, Liverpool do it sometimes. They did it against Tottenham in the final.
You can.
So
you can.
I do think.
Yeah.
I do think Lampard should embed that. He should, in training, kind of bring that in slightly for a certain type of game.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, you can. I'm just saying I don't think Chelsea is doing it because and yes, I haven't watched Chelsea, so I might be completely wrong, and I'm okay with that. But I don't think Lampard has been doing that for the last few weeks because I think Lampard's priorities have been elsewhere, and that's the only argument I'm making. I'm not saying it's impossible for Lampard to get them to play pragmatic football. I'm just saying it's going to be hard because of how young and inexperienced and inconsistent that Chelsea team are as they are. So, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. Everything you said.
He seems like a modern manager, so I don't think he will. Probably just going to go for it and lose again.
Yeah, I think this game definitely does have a draw written over it. But fuck it, I'm not taking it. I think Ollie's shown Lampard that he can do it, and I think individual brilliance will save us. I feel like a Martial or Fernandes or an Igalo moment. Heck, anyone who has just one moment will win us this game. So I think United will win. I agree with Malone. I think United could win 2-0.
Yeah, I think Chelsea are killed by a lack of quality in the team. Mount can't be consistent. He's young. Abraham can't be consistent. So I think that really kills them. I feel like with a really good team in that system, I don't see United winning this game anyway. But because of the inexperienced, we have a good chance.
Yeah. But what I will say is, to end off, if Chelsea somehow get a first goal in, then I think it's over. I think it's right.
The story with United.
Well, that's the song we've been singing all season. United need to score first to get a result out of this game, guys. Because if they don't score first, they might not be able to come back. I mean, this team, yeah, you get it. But yeah,
it's funny because that hasn't just been under Ole. That's always been a problem with us since Ferguson left.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? It's strange. It's funny how teams tend to live up to their memes in the Premier League. Like every team has that meme about them. For years, Liverpool had the meme of bottling things, and for years they bottled things. And I know that's changing now, but it's funny. And United, the meme with United now is that they just can't win a game to save their lives from behind. It's ironic.
I don't want to sound like I'm bringing a posh FC agenda here. I just feel like we haven't experienced a manager that prioritizes attack, and that's part of the problem in that aspect.
Yeah, because when we go behind, we've got no ammunition and we've got no plan to get back into the game. Our plans are all predicated around being in a position to nick a goal and sit back and hold on to a result. Like we're very good at closing out games, I would say. Not under Ole, obviously, but since Fergie left, we're very good at not bottling games after we've gone up. But we're not good at getting them back after we've gone down. Yeah, that's true. But look, just to end off the show, my thoughts on this game and what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be doing is, for God's sake, man, be bold. Be bold. Get the result against Chelsea. And even if you don't make top 4, well, at least you tried. But try, and let's see something. And also what I would add is that a draw is a nothing result. I don't want to see a draw in this game,
Yeah,
I would rather we lost and we played well.
Yeah,
and that's the first time I've said this on this podcast. I would rather we lost and we played with heart. A draw is a nothing result. I do not want to see a 0-0, a 1-1, a 2-2. Maybe I'll take a 3-3 because at least that's entertaining. But I do not want to see a draw. For God's sake, we can't be sitting here on Monday evening I'm not really sure we played that badly, but we only got a point and we're still 6 points behind Chelsea. It's getting boring now. Can we either get closer to top 4 or not get top 4 after this game?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Draws don't get you anyway.
Yeah, I don't. And also, it's not about beating Chelsea or losing to Chelsea. I know this is going to sound a bit absurd, but I just want clarity on where the season is going. I'm sick and tired of this lingering stage where we're like, we're only 5 points away from top 4. Maybe if we beat Wolves and then get a result against Watford and then Chelsea lose one of their games, we'll be close. No, I don't want that anymore. This game must be the defining one in the season. And if we lose, so be it. Then at least we know the Europa League is all we have. I just don't want to be sat here and still 6 points behind Chelsea, no matter what happens. And hopefully Tottenham does something as well, like, because I'm sick of it. This limbo stage of being in and out of the top four, it's getting a bit annoying. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting sick of it.
It is.
It's annoying, and this team's probably going to bottle it anyways, even if they do beat Chelsea. But leave a like on the video, leave your score predictions down below, and please don't forget to hit that like button. But until the next time, I think that's a wrap. So peace out.